financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
All right, welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. In this segment, I want to develop a different issue because it comes up every single day, all conversations, business, personal, your house, your car, all sorts of things, but people don't have a good understanding of what is a lien. What does a lien mean? How does it work? What's the enforceability? What are the types of liens? So
well,
I want to develop
David's wife's name is Eileen.
Yeah, that's true.
And she has one leg shorter than the other.
Are you letting the world know this, that no one else knows? This is now public domain.
You don't even get it. You don't even get it.
No.
You think about it, but take as much time as you need.
All right, I'll think about it over the break. All right, what
Dumb
is
and Dumber 3.
what is a lien? All right, you got mortgages. You have a real property lien. Okay, let's talk about a mortgage, then we'll come back to that.
Yep.
All right, in a mortgage, that's a typical lien where if you've bought a home,
You
and
can't
you've borrowed
define
the
the
money,
word lien with the word.
Fine. You have a mortgage where you have purchased a home and the bank has provided you the money to buy the house and wants to secure itself in case you do not pay. So you give them a mortgage back on the property, which is considered a lien against your interest in the real estate.
So everybody knows what a mortgage is, that the bank can take your property if you don't pay.
And there's two basic remedies. You can judicially foreclose a mortgage, which is an unusual way of going about taking back the property, selling it, and then perhaps suing you for the deficiency if you sell it for less than what you're owed. Or you can foreclose by advertisement, which is the common way in Michigan. That's considered a non-judicial foreclosure, where you advertise the property in the legal news for a period of 4 weeks. Really, 5 is what they do as a practical matter. It then goes to sale. You bid up. If you're the lender, you have to bid at least the market value, or anyone else can bid. And then if there's a deficiency, the lender has the right to sue you in circuit court for the deficiency.
And all of that is predicated upon the original documents you signed when you purchased the house. You signed 2 documents: a mortgage, which grants the security
Wait
interest
a
to the
second.
lender.
Does one leg shorter than the other mean that she leans?
Yes, really? Oh, God.
Lean.
Is that?
Oh, dear God.
Okay.
Dave, get the light bulb that just
Yeah,
went on.
I
so,
got it.
as I said, you signed 2 documents.
I think
You
it's very
sign
funny.
a mortgage, which grants the security interest to the lender, and you sign what's called a promissory note, which is otherwise known as the I promise to pay document. They're 2 separate and distinct documents, but they protect the bank and the lender.
And the bank can sue on the note, or they can choose to foreclose.
That's right. And if they foreclose and there's a deficiency balance, they can sue on the remainder of the note.
Very quickly, let's talk about second mortgages right while you're on that, Brian. Is in a second mortgage, you also have the same set of documents, and you have the lien that's filed is the second mortgage, but it comes behind the first mortgage.
Hopefully.
Which means on the second mortgage, in order to be able to sell the property and get your money out, first you have to pay off the first mortgage. So when a house is underwater, and the house value of the house is $100,000, and the first mortgage is $150,000, and the second one is $50,000, that second mortgage lien doesn't do the lender any good because they can't get their money out. So then their remedy is to sue on the note rather than to try and foreclose.
Correct.
That's what people have to keep in mind. All right, so that's in a mortgage context. What about a land contract? You hear about people buying real estate on a land contract. How does the seller get a lien in that circumstance? How does the seller protect himself, or when to make sure he gets paid his money.
Let's answer the first question. Why would one sell on a land contract opposed to selling where the buyer
cash.
gets a mortgage? And
They
the answer almost
can't find a
always-
buyer with cash.
Almost always is you cannot find a buyer that can qualify for a mortgage for that piece of property.
Sometimes
whatever it
you're
may
right.
be.
You may have a unique property that can't appraise out, even though it's worth the purchase price. In the lending industry, you have to be able to prove value in order to get that mortgage. And there are unique properties out there that do not appraise.
And from a buyer's standpoint, the buyer who can't qualify for the mortgage wants to buy in a land contract. So then you have this coming together between a seller and a buyer, because the seller can't find a cash buyer and the buyer can't get financing. There you have a reason for the two of them to come together.
Or you have the scenario where you have an investment seller that wants to get a certain rate of return on their money so they can get a 10%, a 12% return, whatever it is, and it's a good investment for them, and they are secured with the
All right,
property.
you can
So-
make the investment.
so-
So let's talk about the mechanism of the security. In a land contract, that's a contract where I agree as the vendor to sell Blackacre to you, David, as the vendee. I retain legal title to the property when I enter into the land contract with you. Legal title doesn't switch over to you until the contract is paid in full. And once the contract's paid in full and legal title transfers to you, that's when you get the deed that you can record to the property. My protection is all you have is an equitable title to the property. You have a land contract vendee interest. I'm protected because I still have legal title, and I have two remedies if you don't make your payments. One remedy is the same as in a foreclosure situation. I can judicially foreclose you. And the second remedy is I can do what's called a land contract forfeiture. Using in Michigan, we have a statute called summary proceedings. And in that case, if you default on making a payment, I send you a notice of forfeiture. And after that, I can sue you in district court and get a judgment for possession. The judgment for possession, however, cannot be executed until 90 days after it's issued. And as long as you pay me the back payments you're owed within the 90 days, you get to keep the property.
So it's a trade-off.
And if you've actually paid more than 50% of the purchase, you get 6 months to pay off that arrearage.
I'll tell you, though, if you're a buyer purchasing a land contract, there's a lot of things you should be watching out for. Number one, you should be checking to find out if there's an existing mortgage on the property.
Good points.
And is the seller to you still paying the land contract? We find that a lot of sellers stop paying the land contract. Stop paying the mortgage payments, and
in
they
either
screw the person that
circumstance,
buys
whether
the
you're
house.
buying a house on a mortgage or with a land contract, you need to do a title search. You need to do all the diligence that you need to do when you're buying a piece of property. It's a major investment. If you do this on your own, you're making a fatal mistake. And when in the case of a land contract, you don't have a lender out there. So you got to be careful. We'll be back after the break.
It's devastating, the effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem. Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy to save your home and to eliminate debt. If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Fav Gross 888-235-HELP.
Every family has the family meeting, and we all know what that means. Dad's got dementia. What are we going to do? What's the care plan that the family has in place? Usually they don't, or they struggle with a care plan. When you go home tonight and you talk to your tax person and you talk to your financial person, say, what's the plan that you have in place? And as soon as they don't give you an answer, give me a call, because I can do it for you.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Fav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Fav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
All right, welcome back. We're talking about liens. During the break, I did a poll of the room, and I found out that I was the only person that didn't instantly understand the I lien joke with respect to liens, which means that all of you are extremely astute and knowledgeable people, and you all must have an Eileen in the family that you somehow knew, and that's why you were so well tuned into that. We were talking about land contracts. You were going to make the point, I think, when we were coming up to break, David. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to supplement. Brian made a great point, basically saying you need to run title search to make sure that there's no underlying mortgage obligations, and if there are, that they get paid by the seller in a land contract situation. And the other two that we see that come up all the time are real estate taxes. You need to make sure that the real estate taxes are getting paid, because the last thing that you want to occur is that you're 3, 4, 5, 6 years into a land contract, and then all of a sudden you get a notice that you don't that property is not owned by the seller anymore. And secondly, you need to make sure that there is insurance for the structure that is appropriate to a land contract situation.
Good points. Here's something to keep in mind. If you're buying a house and there's a conventional lender there, if you don't have an attorney, the lender's at least supposed to make sure that the lender's securing itself with the mortgage and make sure is there to make sure things that go right. The problem is lenders are stupid. They make a lot of mistakes. They commit fraud, and they do all sorts of things that we've been talking about on this show for the last 5 years. So if you're relying on the lender to do the diligence and the lender screws up, that's no excuse for you. So you still need an attorney even when there's a lender. Now, when there's no lender, you have no one looking out to make sure the transaction's done right. You need a survey on the property to make sure that the legal description on the land contract and on the deed matches the boundaries that you're purchasing. You need to know you need a survey. You need to have a title search done, which is what a title commitment does. There are a lot of things you need to protect yourself on when you're buying real estate. If you do it on your own or you rely on the broker, usually it's no problem, but it's a pay me now or pay me later situation. When there is a problem, it's a real big problem.
And
there's no reason to incur that risk.
It doesn't stop the day that you close the initial transaction. It's equally as important, as Brian was pointing out, as well as that all of those things occur during. For example, these are not expensive things. It costs $5 or $10 annually to have the real property tax bills copied to whomever.
Absolutely. You have to be diligent. Now let's move off of real estate. Other liens, a security interest. If you have personal property and you want to take a lien in the personal property, how do you do that? There you do it with what we call a security interest in personal property. It's governed by the Uniform Commercial Code.
It's the same concept as a mortgage.
That would be like inventory in a store. Suppose I'm a lender and I'm financing your retail store and I want to secure myself with all of the inventory. That would be a security interest. But let me give you a different one. Your cars. When you have a car and you have a lien over to Chase Bank for the car loan, that's a lien. Now that's controlled by statute on the Michigan title statute, which covers cars, trucks, vehicles, trailers, and boats.
RD 108. You need to fill out one of those.
A lien for the lender to protect their interest, and they put the lien right on the title so that the world knows about your lien.
And that's just under the procedures. Bottom line is, it's very similar to a mortgage. So when you're dealing with real estate, you have to file your mortgage with the Register of Deeds. When you're dealing with personal property, it depends what type of personal property. If it's a certificated personal property like a car, a boat, a trailer,
You put it
then
on the
you put
title.
it in the Secretary of State, and then you're on the title there. But also there's a huge amount of everything else that really
And I want to do the
done
everything else.
with the use
Well,
of
wait,
deed.
before we do that, let me just point out there's a lot of problems when people go to buy a car. Okay, let's say you're buying your car from Mom, and you say, "Mom, I want to buy your used car from
Mom
you."
should give me the car, but go ahead.
Yeah, but let's assume this is done because son has some financial problems. So Mom says, "All right, I'll sell you my used car for $10,000. You just pay me $200 a month, and we'll make it. When it's paid off, it's paid off. No interest. Okay, it's great. The only problem is son needs a bankruptcy. Now, son has been paying
documentation.
Mom $200 a month. It
Son
happens.
doesn't own the car yet.
No, Mom
titled the car over to son.
in his name. So now he's got a car that's paid in full with no lien on it because Mom didn't want to put a lien on it.
So now it's not exempt in bankruptcy.
The car might be exempt, but Mom's been receiving payments as a preference.
Oh, it doesn't go down. But
And-
it's a loan.
But it's a loan, so
You need
what?
to document the loan
It's not just that. It's
put
it's
the
a
lien on the
preference
title.
payment. By putting a lien on it, it's not a preference. And
Big
so you
strategy
protect
decision.
Mom.
Yeah.
There's lots of reasons why you ought to make sure that there's a lien when you're buying a car, and you want to make sure it's done right.
Right,
Very-
and let me
Very
just
good. And people commonly make that mistake.
I don't
here's
need to
what
worry
else they
about
do.
Mom. I'm
Right.
going to pay
Here's what
Mom.
else they do in that scenario that comes back to bite them. They try to be coy, and they put down that it was transferred for $100 or $10 because they don't want to pay the sales tax. And
then it's a
and
fraudulent
that-
transfer.
and that-
'cause
that
it
is
wasn't
fraud,
for,
number
'cause
one.
it wasn't for a fair and adequate consideration. So and that screws up your bankruptcy there too.
Big
Yep, and it even
problems.
does that. Husband and wife will do that, and there's exceptions to having to pay sales tax.
So you need to be careful. That goes back to the basic rule. If you facing any kind of financial difficulty, it is an absolute rule. Do not start transferring off assets between mom and dad and family without proper counsel to make sure that it's done the correct way, because you can't undo it once it's done, because it doesn't work that way in a bankruptcy
No,
context.
there's a
And
simple
they-
little
and they-
case called In re Hurtado
Yeah,
that says that if you give up dominion and control over the asset in any way, shape, or form, you've already done the fraudulent
I'll have to
transfer.
put on the screen a picture of an in-raid
Hurtado.
hurtado. What is a hurtado? Like
No,
a
Hurtado.
tomato?
That's just the
It's-
name of the
it's-
people
it's
that
got
had.
sriracha. It's at Taco Bell now. The other thing is,
a new
it gets
sandwich.
complicated on the everything else depending on what you're talking about. So you really need to know the rules. Cash, securities, investment securities, they all have separate rules as to how you
All right, and I want
protect
to
your
talk
interests.
about.
Can I have a
secu-
security interest in cash?
Yes.
Yes, you can, but you have to take possession of it, or otherwise it's going to be very difficult
Well, then-
to enforce. But you can also have a security interest in all personal property and all intangibles. That's what we're going to talk about right now. How do you get a security interest in things other than a titled vehicle in personal property?
UCC.
No, Uniform Commercial Code governs. You need what's called attachment, and we will talk about attachment right after the break.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Fav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the medicated nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, welcome back. We left off, we're talking about liens, and we're talking about security interest in personal property and attachment. Before we do that, I want to do quick announcements. We've got seminars coming up. Best way to check the websites, lawandreality.com, thavgross.com for the dates and time. There's one coming up in April, debt-free, the smartest way to minimize debt. You want to sign up for it, go to thavgross.com, lawandreality.com. We send you tickets or call our offices at 888-235-HELP. We've got free reports, Reg X, how to save your home with Reg X, the hidden secrets. Go to regxhomesaver.com. Pat Samasco has a free report, ssifreereport.com, Retiree's Guide to Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, Thav Gross and Samasco Law, Cardiology Associates of Michigan, and Farmington Hills Dental Office. And just to let you know, Law and Reality will be launching a new website shortly. It's got a whole new look, a spot to sign up to become a member of the Law and Reality community. Click icons to click on for information on the different areas of law that we talk about on the show. So we're going to kind of give you a screenshot of what it looks like. It's not going to launch probably for another month or so. We'll keep you posted on that. All right, back to security interest. So if I want to take a security interest or a lien in personal property, I need attachment. Attachment requires three things. There must be value given in exchange for the security interest. So the lender or the creditor must give value in order to be receiving a lien. The debtor must have rights in the collateral, which means the debtor must own or have the right to pledge the collateral as a lien. And you need either a written signed security agreement or the secured party must take possession of the collateral. So think about this. I'm going to give you one scenario to think about. You walk into Best Buy and you've got millions of pieces of equipment and computers and monitors and television sets sitting on the floor of that inventory. Now, do you think that Best Buy has paid cash for all of that inventory and it's sitting there free and clear? Or would you assume they have some kind of security arrangement with a bank that's provided financing for their inventory? Did you ever think about it? Let me give you the answer. Nobody pays cash for everything. They all have financing arrangements. So there's going to be a lender that has a security interest on the inventory sitting on the floor on the Best Buy store. Now, how does that lender secure its interest in the collateral? What it does is it gets attachment. It has a written signed security agreement with Best Buy. It's given value because it's loaned it the money to buy the inventory. And Best Buy has rights in the collateral because they own the inventory. The lender then has to perfect its security interest, which is done by filing what we call a UCC-1 with the state authority in the particular state to perfect their collateral. Just like when you give a mortgage, when you want to perfect your mortgage lien, you file and record the lien And when you do that and you give these filings, you're giving the world notice of your security interest.
It gets very tricky, Ken.
It does. And let me stay with this for 1 second. So when you go buy the television set at Best Buy, and there's a lien to Chase Bank who provided the financing, and you take the TV set home and you put it in your living room, and you're sitting back watching the baseball, because it's now coming on to baseball time, and you're so excited. What if someone calls you up and says, Best Buy went out of business yesterday. We're Chase Bank. We had a lien on all of the inventory of Best Buy. You purchased a TV set there 6 months ago, and we're coming on Monday to pick up the TV.
You hang up.
Do you have to give back the television?
Of course you don't have to give back the television.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did Chase Bank have a valid lien?
Chase Bank had a valid lien between Chase Bank and Best Buy. Best Buy sold you the television set. You gave them cash, or you financed it individually, and therefore the Chase Bank got what's called a replacement lien.
No.
They
quite.
did in the cash.
Well, they did get a replacement lien. But
It starts with I, but it's not Eileen.
Here's the rule. A buyer in the ordinary course of business, which when you went into the Best Buy store and bought your TV, you're a BIOC. You're a buyer in the ordinary course of business. You purchase the inventory free and clear of the lien when you buy consumer goods. And this was a consumer good because it was a television set sold to a consumer. Let me give you this change in facts. You go to Phil and you buy a used TV from Phil, and Phil pledged the TV set as security to household finance on a household loan. When you go buy Phil's TV set, you're not a buyer in the ordinary course of business because Phil is not a merchant. And in that case, believe it or not, household finance still has the lien on your TV, but chances are they won't come after you to get it.
In the first scenario, the lien was on inventory. The moment it got purchased, it was no longer inventory.
Because you're a buyer in the ordinary course of
in
business.
Phil's scenario,
That's why they get the cash equivalent.
Uh,
but in Phil's scenario,
as a secondary, they get the proceeds. They get the money.
But that's if they're
Right.
secured in the proceeds. But in the second scenario, he didn't. The lender didn't have a lien on just inventory. They had a lien on whatever it is. It wasn't limited to the inventory.
Yeah, no, but well, the rule is this: when you're a secured party in inventory, and your inventory attaches. Suppose instead of you and I go and buy one TV set, suppose HFC goes and makes a bulk purchase from Best Buy of $2 million of inventory.
It's still inventory.
It's still inventory, but they're not a buyer in the ordinary course of business. The inventory, the lien still attaches.
Agreed.
If Best Buy doesn't get paid, if Chase doesn't get paid, they can take back the collateral. It's complicated, but the important thing is be aware of these things when you're going out and buying them, and sometimes you have to be careful. You don't have to worry about it if you're buying retail as a consumer good. You're protected. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality. Drive safe.